Hey everyone, welcome to the Higher Alignment Podcast. I'm your host, Minh-Thu, and I'm an executive coach focused on helping people heal their burnout and reconnect to their purpose through self-mastery. I'm a recovering perfectionist and control freak who spent too many years living overwhelmed and exhausted. Now I show executives how to identify their blind spots and use this to propel them on their journey to finding more fulfillment and freedom without burning out. If you've been feeling lost and disconnected in life, book a complimentary connection call to discuss how we can get you back on the path of self-mastery and living a life that feels successful on your terms. Go to higheralignmentconsulting.com/program to book your call, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast. I am so excited because I have my client and now friend, Jasmine Duncan, joining us today. Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm really good, and I'm really excited to talk with you today because I find your story really inspiring, and I would love people to listen to it and hope that they can get some inspiration and some relatability out of your story. So, I want to just start with maybe you could just let people know what you do for work and maybe where you were at and how you were feeling when we first started working together.
Okay, so I own an event planning company. It is S&K Events. I do full event planning, day of coordinating, project management, and a bit of marketing content for events. When I started and reached out to Minh-Thu, I was just feeling stuck in all areas, in every aspect of my life. Stuck and exhausted is basically where I was at.
And can I ask you how was that showing up in your life? Like feeling stuck, how was that? What was that like as far as energy levels? What was your day to day like? Like, just kind of give us a day in the life of Jasmine at that time as far as feeling stuck.
I would say feeling like I'm on a hamster wheel, waking up with exhaustion and anxiety, going to bed with exhaustion and anxiety, not being able to sleep past like 4 to 6 hours because my brain is just constantly running and not stopping. And I just I had a short rope. Anything kind of took me from 0 to 60 very quickly. There was just so that was the kind of a lot of things. Always feeling tense, always feeling tired, always feeling just over it before I've even started the day.
And what was the tipping point of you reaching out and being like, "Yeah, I need to explore some other options." Like, was there kind of a moment where you're like, "Okay, this is like I need to do something about this?"
I think I just got to a point where I realized that I can only do so much on my own, and I have to stop beating myself up for not being able to get to certain places that I'm looking to get to. Like if I'm not feeling good, I go to a doctor's, and when I'm hungry, I go to the grocery store. So it should be no different if I'm struggling in my mental health or business or anything along those lines, that I reach out to an expert that can help me in that area.
I love that you said that. That's such a great way to put it because you're right. There is certain areas of our lives where we are quick to go, get some outside resources or some help. Um, why do you think for yourself, Ivan, because just knowing a little bit of your journey and things that we've worked on, why do you think it is so hard for people to reach out when it comes to something like that? Like when it comes to struggling in their business or just not feeling good overall on a day to day? Because you know what I hear from a lot of people, and I think I've heard this from you as well too, is like when it comes to taking care of yourself, there's often a lot of guilt associated with that.
Yeah.
And so for you personally, what do you think it has been in the past that has kept you from wanting to seek out help in these areas?
I think for me, especially being a single mom and like growing my business from scratch, it was definitely a financing. I felt guilty to take that chunk of money, invest it into myself when I can be investing it back into my kids or their education. And also, there was like an embarrassment factor. Like, I'm in my 40s. Why do I need help? I should be at a place like society tells you, like, by the time you're 40, like married, house, kids, the good job, the pension, all of the things. And I was not there. So it was also like an embarrassing factor of like being able to like tell somebody I'm struggling and ask for help as an adult.
Another great point. And I think that it's that inner voice we have sometimes that is constantly filled with judgment and shame and this idea of we should be at a certain point. And people don't realize how judgmental that word should is. Like,
Yeah.
should is a very controlling, restrictive energy.
Yeah.
But we're so used to saying it to ourselves, it just seems like it's normal. But like, should is again, it's this energy of judgment. And so when we're thinking, well, I'm in my 40s, I shouldn't need help. I should have this figured out. Like, why can't I just get through my day to day and feel good about this, and there is a lot of judgment and shame that people carry with that, when really so many people are experiencing this.
Way more people than we realize are experiencing it, but they just don't talk about it because we don't talk about it. We only show the pretty side of our lives, the Instagram side, the social media side. But yeah, I think we need to more talk about the things that are happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, because in my opinion, that's what connects us as humans, is the
Yeah.
parts that we're typically most ashamed of, is the parts of us that actually bring us closer together, because there's
Yeah.
not one human that's exempt from this experience.
Very true.
And so, Jasmine, for you, because I know you're a fighter, you're resilient, you don't give up, no matter how tired or battered or bruised you may feel in the moment. Like, you are resilient. And so, if you're open to it, can you just tell people a little bit about where that comes from within you and how you have seen that um, play out in your life in, I would say, positive ways, but also has maybe caused you a little bit more suffering than it has needed to?
I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is raising my kids. Because honestly, being a single mom of three kids at like 25 was definitely not where I thought I was going to be. And it was either I had to make it work or not. And I think that's where a lot of my resilience has come from. A lot of my push, a lot of my drive.
And that resilience, do you find that it's always been beneficial?
Oh no, I do not find it was beneficial. I feel the resilience was also built out of a scarcity mindset.
Mm.
It was built out of scarcity. It was built out of lack. It was built out of feeling like I did not have abundance. I didn't have what I needed. So I created something that didn't benefit me in the long run. It got me through what I needed to get through. But then once my kids got older and I grew and they grew, like it no longer served me. So I think it did what it needed to do. But at some point, I had to figure out that it was no longer serving.
So let's unpack that a little bit further, because this is something that we have worked on together, right?
Yeah.
Since you started working with me, this is one thing that we really had to, you know, unpack, this survival mentality, which, by the way, everyone has. It
Yeah.
just varies in degrees, and it varies in how we show up, right? But for most, I would say high performers, entrepreneurs, executives, whoever the case is, this need, or this, I'm going to say, insecurity to have to always be on and perform at a high level and overachieve, always say yes, like be the perfectionist, like that's really deep rooted in a lack and a scarcity mentality, because it goes back to our insecurities, and we feel like if we don't show up in a way where we're constantly sacrificing our needs or putting everyone else before us, if we don't do that, we think that somehow that's going to show our lack of confidence, or we're not going to be worthy of achieving abundance or creating freedom, whatever you're optimizing for. And so then getting stuck in that mentality can be very limiting, and just like you said, for especially now that you're at the point where like your kids are out of the house, you don't, there's not as many demands on you as far as them. I think that when we started working together, that's something we really had to uncover, because you were still living like they were reliant on you 24/7.
Yes.
And so how would you say that that journey of switching from being in pure survival mode to now being like, okay, I can actually take care of myself. I can actually create space and allow and let go of things in order to allow more to come in. Like, what has that process been for you?
Oh my gosh. That process was tough. In the beginning, I remember it just being very tough and like my body, my mind, everything fighting every aspect of it. You don't need to go to sleep early and get 8 hours. You go to sleep at 12 and wake up at 5 so you can get your work done. Like the combat it in myself was very hard. And obviously thank you to Minh-Thu because she kept me on track and kept me to keep like going and pushing through and realizing like that voice no longer serves me. Yes, it's there. I appreciate it. It's a part of me, but it's no longer serving me right now. And it can take a seat on the bench. I don't need it at the moment. So it was a very hard process mentally, physically. But once you start to kind of see little glimpses, it just gives you hope to kind of push through more. And I think that's what happened. Like having Ming Tu and going through this process and somebody to talk to about the process and then seeing small changes without even realizing they're happening. Like you just wake up one day and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm anxious and I don't feel anxiety and I don't feel like the world's going to end before I even get out of bed this morning. So those things definitely helped me to push forward as opposed to just give up.
Mm. What was the biggest, or what was the one thing that was like an aha moment for you in this journey of like switching from that scarcity mindset to being like, oh, I can create space for abundance? Like, what was either a mindset shift or an actual practice that you were doing? Like, what is one thing that was really like, wow, that like really shifted the trajectory for me?
Oh my goodness, I feel like there was so much that happened in the 3 months.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, the biggest things that come to mind, it wasn't like a huge thing, but it was big to me, but I guess seemed small outwardly. Like just moments of feeling confident in moments of chaos. As an event planner, I have a lot of moments of chaos. When it comes to an event, when it comes to dealing with attendees or even my family around the time of an event, there's a lot happening. And so I found that I'm now able to take a moment for myself during those times to reset, to calm myself down, to ask myself what I need, and to not feel guilty to give it to myself.
Mm.
I had an event last weekend, Fade to Black fashion show, charity component, absolutely amazing event. And I think this is the first time in all of my years of working events that I came home, I showered, I messaged the people that needed to know that my phone was going to be off for 20 minutes and I was going to reset so I can come back and be a better person for this evening. And nobody died. Nothing happened. The event was a smash. So for me, that's like a huge, huge, huge win.
Wow. And so glad nobody died in those 20 minutes. That's huge, right? But like, so you started it off great with saying it seems so subtle, but I want you to expand on how difficult it was for you to get to that point of being like, I can take 20 minutes of shutting off my phone in the middle of a crazy day because I realize I need to refuel right now. Like you, like if you 3 months ago, Jasmine would have been able to do that. Let's be honest, right?
No, not
so
at all.
so I want you to tell people how, like, what what it took for you to get from absolutely not, I have to be on all the time, like to getting to the point of like, no, I can shut off my phone for 20 minutes and it's actually going to be the best thing for me. Like, what, how did we get from A to B?
Oof. Okay, so the nitty gritty, how I got to ADB, because I know Ming Tu had one way for me to get there, and I think I got there a totally different way.
That's how it usually goes. So that's okay.
um, it took a lot of talking to myself, a lot of
Mm,
talking to myself, getting to know my inner child, getting to know those parts of me that were holding me back or I felt needed to hold me back. It took a lot of purging, a lot of crying, a lot of meditating, a lot of journaling, a lot of techniques, breathing techniques, the sway technique. Ming Tu can explain that to you later. Trusting my intuition, learning to trust my intuition, and just A lot of inner dialogue, a lot of inner dialogue, a lot of outer output in regards to writing. I didn't do a lot of talking about what I was going through besides with Minh-Tu, but there was a lot of inner dialogue of me reframing my thoughts, listening to them as they come in, finding out why I'm talking to myself in the ways that I'm talking to myself that are holding me back. Like, why can I, get past this financial cap that I seem to hit and go down? Why is it that I'm waking up full of anxiety? Asking myself the hard questions like, why do I feel this way? Do I want to change it? And is it serving me?
Mm.
And then actually like diving in and giving myself what I need when I needed it. And that
Okay.
that was hard.
Right. Okay. So let's dive into that a little bit. So asking yourself what you need and then actually giving it to yourself, because I think that's what you just said you did. Like on that day of the event, you're like, I know I need to refuel, so I'm actually going to follow through and give it to me.
Yeah.
Where I think most people, they know they need to refuel, but they're like, no, no, no. If I do that, something might happen. Something will fall apart. Like a catastrophe might take place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And from a logical standpoint, we know that's not going to happen. But when we're dysregulated and we're in fight or flight or even freeze, we're not seeing with a logical lens. We're seeing from a very dysregulated lens.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, for you specifically, when you ask yourself what you need, walk me through the process of actually doing that and then following through with it, how that plays out for you.
I find it's in moments where I'm feeling very overwhelmed. I'm feeling very overwhelmed. I feel scatterbrained. I'm picking up my phone, I'm writing, I'm in the laptop. I take a moment, I just say, okay, what do you need in this moment? And I wait and I just listen.
And what does
Um,
that voice sound like? Because I this is important. I think the reason I want to go through this is because we have multiple voices that will
yeah.
try to speak up, right? So how do you know which voice is the one to listen to for what you actually need in the moment?
That voice is not the 43-year-old me. That voice is definitely my younger voice that remembers how to have fun, that remembers how to play, that remembers that like every day is just a great day because I woke up. So
Mm.
that's the voice that I choose to listen to when I'm in those moments.
Gotcha. Okay. So you ask yourself, what do you need? You listen for this more, let's say, innocent child voice of you. And then when they speak up, what does that usually say or sound like? And then how do you make sure that you follow through on actually like giving yourself what it asks for?
I find for myself, it's definitely more of just time. Like I'll hear like take a break, take a nap, eat, watch a show, maybe just do nothing, do your laundry, walk, like whatever comes that makes me feel like, hey, being able to step away and reevaluate and take my mind off the task and come back is basically what happens. But it's never anything too crazy, like go for a drive and head to the mountains. It's more something like super simple.
And that's such a great point. I was talking with someone the other day about this and telling them like that's like when you think about our inner child or you think about a child in general, they have no concept of past or future. They really only understand the basics of this moment. So a kid either wants to eat, like you said, have a hug, uh, play, go to sleep. Like they really only understand the basics of this moment and what they need right now. And so exactly like you said, listening to not the adult version of you, because the adult version is going to say something like, well, if you start that project tonight, then you don't have to worry about it on Friday. So let's get ahead of it. Like that's not the voice we're aiming for here, right? We're aiming for the version of you that just only knows that this moment exists and knows exactly what it needs in this moment to refuel and just feel connected to yourself, you
Yeah.
know? The other question I had for you around that is what have you noticed is the difference now that you're actively learning to refuel in the moment versus waiting till you're like completely burnt out? Because like if we think about it, even when you, although you know choosing to work through this process with me was a bigger commitment, you kind of waited till you were like
At the end.
completely
Yeah.
at the
End
end, like on
zero.
your
The car broke down.
Yeah, the car broke down. We're in the middle of the desert. There's no gas station around. Luckily, I'm driving by on a truck ready to pick you up. You're kind of at
Yes.
that point.
Yeah.
How do you feel now that you're learning to like stop at the gas station every time you pass one? Like, how has that changed your everyday everyday life, but also how has it changed your perspective for what you're actually capable of?
So it's definitely changed my perspective in regards to, I guess, just not, I just don't think about it anymore. It's just like I've replaced it with these different habits, and those habits bring me so much joy. That is not something that I really think about anymore. And now I'm like more upset when it doesn't happen or I miss it or things along those lines. So I think it's kind of like tuning your car. You know, you have to get it done. You get it done. You'll do it before you know, do the laundry, do the dishes, because it's your vehicle. You need it to run. You need it to work. You need to take you where it needs to take you. And I think now I've definitely, my life is more like, I guess I put me first. At the end of the day, I put me first, and I get my regular tune-ups, and I'm making sure my car is running and it's ready for all the seasons and it has its winter tires. I know that's probably not the best way to explain it, but that's kind of the best way that it's coming out.
No, for sure. And even just, can you talk about the difference between, again, when you started versus where we're at now, of like was taking care of yourself first even a thought in your mind when we first started working together?
No, like kids and family came first, then clients, then home life, then personal life, friends and family, and then I always came last. And it's not
Mm.
that it's something I was like, oh, I should come last. I just, being in the service industry, being a single mom, it's just always been something ingrained in my brain that everybody comes first. Like the important things come first. I can deal with myself later.
That's so important that you mentioned that it wasn't even conscious. Like you're not purposely thinking like, "Oh, Jasmine comes at the end of the list." It's just the survival strategy that you had adopted, right? Like, let me just make sure everyone else is taken care of before I am. But then the the backfire of that is that you actually can't show up as your best version for all these other people that you want to take care of because you are last on the list, right?
Exactly.
Going back to what we had talked about with listening to that inner voice and which
Mhm.
voice you want to listen to, we had, I say everyone has an ego voice within them, and their ego voice is the version of them that isn't your true self, but it's an identity of you that has been formed based around your survival and your past failures and fears. And so I think we've all been through these moments where, something will pop up in our life that's kind of triggering, and it's not actually life threatening or a real dangerous threat, but it reminds us of something from the past. And then our ego goes, okay, let's go find out what data we have on that. And the last time this happened, you got, cheated on or broken up with, or this customer yelled at you, or all these things. And so this identity, this alter ego, I call it, kind of starts to surface. And we had named your alter ego Sasha. And I want you to talk to people about, again, like what Sasha sounds like and how it has been, because she's still alive, right? She's
Oh
still
yeah,
in there,
she's
but
still, yeah.
how it has been you not giving into her voice as much anymore.
That was a struggle. Ming-Tu can attest to that. That was definitely a struggle because at some point, that's the only voice you're hearing. It's the only voice you're hearing in your head. You're waking up to it. Like that's your best friend. And then I started coaching, and then I started hearing this other voice, but this voice is still a lot stronger. It keeps sniping out this voice. You don't need to go to sleep at 10:30. Push it a little bit more. You know what I mean? All these tiny little things.
You
Um,
can work till 10 o'clock and go to bed at 11:30 or 12.
and wake up at 5 and you'll be fine. You'll be actually better off because you'll get more work done and you won't be as stressed. And so I definitely feel like at some point it was like two battles in my brain, and I felt like I was battling myself. The one that was like, hey, no, it's okay. It's okay to live a soft, gentle life. It's okay to put you first. It's okay to do these things and take time for yourself in the morning and create a nighttime routine because it'll make you a better person for the people you love and for yourself. and then that other voice saying, nope, that's not right. Look at we've gotten you this far. Why would we never let you down? We've brought you 43 years. What are you doing? So I think it just take time and habits. The more I journaled, the more I spoke to myself, the more I listened to my own inner thoughts and just kind of replaced the other thoughts. Not like I definitely want to get rid of Sasha and like I need to cut this out. No, we just learned to work together, learn to give her that backseat, and just kind of learn to let that other voice filter in louder than Sasha's voice.
Okay, if you've been feeling exhausted and overwhelmed with your day to day life and you're not sure whether you're actually burnt out or not, go take my free quiz called Is My Burnout Fixable? It only takes 1 to 2 minutes, but it will give you an assessment on what level of burnout you're currently experiencing and also provide you some tips you can start to implement right away to help improve your current state. So go to higheralignmentconsulting.scoreapp.com to take the quiz and then DM me or tag me with your results. All right, back to the episode. Yeah, that's so great how you did that. And like I also want to mention to people listening that like the reason I say it's not your true self is because you can actually once you have the awareness and you can actually step back and observe, you can't observe something in which you are.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can create the awareness and the space to step back and be like, okay, I hear her voice, I hear what she's saying, like you can also realize that it's not you. But what happens is if we don't have this awareness, we think it's us. We think these fears speaking are us. We think that these limiting beliefs and like, just all these conditioned, I say softwares that we're running that we've been living with for so long, we think they're our truth because it feels so strong and real when it comes up in the moment, especially fear and insecurities. When something that's really triggering gets activated and it's this visceral sensation in the body and your stomach's tight and your chest tight and you have brain fog and it impacts your body so much and you attach a story to that, it feels like that's the truth. There's no way this isn't true. You're not convincing me any different because I feel it so strongly in my body.
Yeah.
But we have to understand that that's just your nervous system responding to a trigger in a way where it feels like it needs to protect you. It's a perceived threat. It doesn't mean it's actually real. And when we get in that mode, that's when the alter ego, the Sashas of the world start to talk and her voice does get really loud. But what's so brilliant about what you said is that when you can take that space and observe her and write things down, and it starts to create this, like, again, space where you're not actually her and she's just a voice, you can start to turn the volume down a little bit and then
Yeah.
start to turn the volume up on the version of you that actually deserves the love and attention, which is that little child version of you that, has probably been neglected for a while.
Yeah. And it also opens up space to realize when you're triggered by things internally that are triggering you outwardly, but they have nothing to do with what's happening internally. I don't know if that
Mm,
makes any sense at all. But in
right.
regards to knowing the difference between the voices, and that probably makes you sound a little bit crazy, doesn't it? Knowing the difference
We
between.
all have them, so don't worry.
Okay. So knowing the difference between the two voices, now when I am triggered by something that I know, let's say my child did something, but this is a trigger from like years ago, maybe from my mother or when I was younger or a brother, and that bubbles up. Now I can tell that voice is a little bit different than the voice I know that is going to guide me to take better steps to act accordingly.
Incredible. That is so incredible. Yeah. And just, yeah, like you said, there's multiple voices in our head, but the truth is we all have them. And I think what's great about bringing this awareness to this is that people like, you're not crazy. We all have this inner dialogue in this conflict, and there is very real strategies and tools that you can use to help decipher which of those voices is actually dictating your behaviors and dictating whether you want to choose a different outcome in life. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so that's what I love about this conversation is that it's real, but you don't have to just be stuck in this mode. Like you can choose which voice you want to listen to, but we just have to create some awareness and again have some tools around how to navigate that, right?
Yeah. And yes, it gets easier. but the work is always there.
Yes,
The
yeah,
work
that's
is daily.
yeah, absolutely. But that's great that you said that it gets easier, but it's there's just deeper levels to go, right? It's like the more you learn, the further you got to go down the rabbit hole, right? So my next question would be, in this journey that we've gone through and kind of going backwards a bit, did you have any hesitations about getting started at first? Like, what were some of the hesitations you had about like having a coach even?
I think the biggest hesitation for me was A, is it going to work? Because everybody says they're a coach. Everybody I meet when I do networking events is a coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a coach. And some of these people you know personally, and you're like, I don't know if I would take coaching from you. Like all
That's
these different
real.
all these different factors fell into place, and definitely the finance aspect of it, like investing in yourself is not the most inexpensive thing. So that was also one of the biggest things. And be having to know that I've now invested this time, I've invested this money, so now I have to be real and authentic with somebody and vulnerable about the things that I'm embarrassed to even talk about. So I think those are like the three biggest things that made me like really second guess if I wanted to do coaching.
And then so what made you decide to do that? And I appreciate you saying that because the truth is the coaching space is saturated. Like, let's be honest. And I think it goes with any profession. There are there are some doctors I would see, and there are a lot of doctors I would not see. Do you know
Very
what I
true.
mean? So that
Very
that
true.
exists in any industry. But I
Yeah.
guess so with the very real hesitations you had, what made you decide to start working on this journey with me?
I think because it was you, and I've had conversations with you, we have a lot of people that kind of swim around in the same circles. I kind of had a good idea of who you are as a person. And I think that was a big, at the end of the day, that was the biggest thing for me. It was the scariest thing because, of course, we know a lot of the same people. I'm about to cry on your shoulder and tell you all of my, not so great things. Um, but in having conversations with you, it felt right. It felt like you know what you're doing. You handle your clients accordingly. You handle yourself accordingly. So for me, it was kind of just a no brainer. So that was the main push because it was you, was the main push. I
I
kind of
appreciate
had
that.
a sneak peek into what I was getting, which made it easier.
Right. Right. And that makes sense too. Cause and again, I think that's going back to people you do or don't want to do business with or interact with is like, are they about their business? And like, meaning, do they walk with integrity with what they preach? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that's the biggest thing. So, and then the other thing I wanted to ask you is, now that you've gone through this journey and you did decide to invest in yourself and you did decide to open up this very vulnerable side of you as a single mother, as a business owner, as someone who, is going after greatness, like what is the biggest thing you've learned about yourself in the process? And like, how has the vision changed for you now that you've gone through this journey?
The biggest thing I learned about myself in the process is that I don't have to live in anxiety every day. I learned that it's just a voice. The things that are stopping me from the things that I want to achieve and the things that I don't want to do and the things that I even think I can do is just a voice. And I think that was one of the biggest turnarounds for me in our coaching session, to know that like it's not finances, it's not where I live, it's not my children, it's not any of those things, but it's literally just this voice inside my head that is holding me down. So that was the biggest one of the biggest flip arounds for me.
Very profound. Okay. And then part two of that question was, after going through this journey and having that revelation and all the other things, how has your vision shifted for what's possible for your life?
My vision shifted in regards to things don't seem impossible. Where before things were like, I can't do that, that's too big, or that's outside of me. And now my thought around it is, well, how do we just make it happen? It might not happen this year, it might not happen in 2 years, but like, how do we get on the road to make small steps every single day to create the life that I actually want to achieve? And knowing that it's now attainable, where before I didn't think it was even attainable. So I think that's another huge thing. So I think for me, it was going through the process of talking to myself on a daily basis, listening to myself, journaling, even if it's for 5 minutes, going outside, getting sun on my face, has now taught me that in my business and my goals, when I want to achieve them, I don't need to look at the large picture. I can just take it day by day, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and let myself know that that's okay. I don't need to rush to any finish line.
Absolutely. And that I think that's so brilliant because A, it's those little 10 to 15 minutes a day that add up to more. And B, there's also an element of just like learning to enjoy the journey
Yeah.
versus only focusing on the destination, you
Yeah.
know? Amazing. And then last thing I'd ask you is just for anyone who is having the same hesitations that you had, is thinking, is this going to work? You know, is Minh-Thu a good coach, or is any coach worth it? Is investing in myself worth it? Is, you know, anyone who had those same hesitations, what would you tell them as far as just giving them advice for where they're at right now?
I would say the biggest thing for me, well, personally, what I would suggest is getting to know yourself a little bit first. What is it that you're struggling with? What do you feel the issue could be? What is holding you back? Like, start writing these things down so you have a better idea. So when you do go look for a coach, you kind of know what you need or what you don't need. Um, and do your research. Most coaches give you a 30-minute consultation or, like, interview where you can talk to them, DM them, be raw, be authentic, be real. Because if you're looking to actually make change, you have to be vulnerable. So I would say do a little bit of research, figure out why did you feel you even need a coach. And second of all, do research on your coaches, have meetings, and be honest about where you're at and see what fits and what lines up.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jasmine. I'm so
Thank
excited we got to
you.
talk about this today. And, you know, I hope everyone who's listening, you just get an idea of what we do in the higher alignment program. Just like she said, like we're here to help you see what's actually possible. And while a lot of you may come to working with me at the point where you feel burnt out, or you're feeling a little disconnected, as Jasmine has attested to, the whole point of this journey is to get you back to not only feeling like yourself, but realizing who what the true version of you is, and what that version is actually capable of. So, thank you so much, Jasmine, for coming on today. And please
You.
promo your businesses before we get off here. Let people know where they can find you and what your businesses can do for people.
Hey guys, so I'm an event planner in the city of Edmonton. You can reach me at snkevents.ca or on Instagram at SNK Events. Event full planning, coordinating, day of coordinating, project management is what I'm in right now. But in 2025, we're expanding, and we'll let you know more once we launch. But that's where you can find me for now. Instagram at SNK Events or on my website, snkevents.ca.
Amazing. And I will put those in the show notes for anyone who's looking for an incredible event planner. So, all right, guys, that's another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast. We'll see you in the next one. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast. If you got something out of this episode, I would ask that you please go leave this podcast a 5-star review and also subscribe so that it can find its way to other people who are having a hard time and need support. My mission in life is to help executives realize that we don't need to suffer in silence while still performing at a high level. I want to help free people of the heavy pressure they carry on a day-to-day basis, and having more people listen to this podcast will do just that. So wherever you listen to your podcast, please go subscribe and also leave it a 5-star review, and we'll see you in the next episode.